Good day to all of you. We are so lucky to have Swami Atmajnananandaji Maharaj. It is 6:30 a.m. in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and Maharajji has been so kind and so nice to really agree to start the lecture at 6:30 early in the morning. It is 5:30 in Manila, Philippines, and 3:00 p.m. in India. So we are highly indebted to you, Maharajji, for taking up this class in such early morning. And today's topic is very, very interesting in our series of on the concept of Sri Ramakrishna's concept of education. We learn so long as we live. Javat Jivan Tavat Shikhi. So, very, very important topic, that is, let us learn from Sri Ramakrishna. Another one information from you, next fortnight, this time exactly, the Swami from Auckland Ashram will speak on on Swami Vivekananda's definition of education. So please also join on 24 July, Sunday, same time. Swami will join. So we are so grateful to Swamiji. And Swamiji was earlier in Mysuru. And now I would request our Swami Udaranandaji, our spiritual advisor, to kindly say a few words. Swami Udaranandaji Maharaj.
Good afternoon from here to all of you. I welcome you all. My pranams, my Shashtanga Dandavat pranams to Revered Maharajji. I'm really, really very, very happy that so many of you have joined. You see, during this pandemic, we came across this new technology where this online classes, the concept of online classes started. But now the pandemic has almost ended, but since we got the use of this new technology, we decided to continue it. And I think many of our centers are also doing the same. So I think we will also continue this as long as possible and as long as people are interested. So the concept of this is, today's topic was, as long as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, as long as we live, we learn. In context to particularly in the Kolkata devotees, he has said this, but I think this is applicable to all of us, that we should learn. As long as we are alive, we should learn. Keep on learning. The day we think that learning is over, we are no more. I think it is better or more than dead than alive. So it is good to learn, and that is why. But it is not over with the degree education or college education or university education. This is the education which teaches us how to live this life. And that is what Sri Ramakrishna's teachings were mainly focused on. So, with these few words, without much ado, I would request Revered Maharajji to please take the mic and bless us with your Bani. Thank you once again to every one of you for kindly joining. Maharajji, the mic is yours. Thank you very much to all of you for joining. Thank you. Thank you.
Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amratangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Yathagnir dahika shakti Ramakrishne sthita hiya sarva vidya swarupam Sharadam pranamamyaham. Sharadam pranamamyaham. My namaskars to Udaranandji and to Sri Nirmal Ganguly, who has been contacting me regularly and organizing this talk, online talk. So I am grateful to all the devotees of Philippines, Manila, Philippines, so far away from where I live, the other part of the globe. But yet, through the latest technology, we are all together, we are all meeting together in a satsang, discussing about the contribution of Sri Ramakrishna to our lives personally and to humanity in general. So, Udaranji was telling me, and Nirmalji was telling me that it is, was announcing that it's too early for people in Rio, 6:30 a.m., but as sannyasis, as monks, it is quite late. We get up by 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock and start meditating. So 6:30 is okay, fine. It's the best time to think about Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, I am blessed that I am able to continue thinking about Sri Ramakrishna even after my meditation and the usual spiritual practice. So I am thankful to you, Nirmalji, for organizing this. And today is a very special day, as you, some of you could be knowing. This is this beginning of the month of Ashada, which is a month full of winds and rains in India. So today happens to be an Ekadashi. So it's supposed to be a very sacred day because Chaturmasya, or the period when monastics, sadhus, spiritual aspirants stay in one place for 4 months and do intense sadhana, study of the scriptures and tapasya. This period starts from today. So it is so wonderful that we are discussing about spiritual life, about Sri Ramakrishna on this sacred day when we are supposed to do this. Householders or devotees also take up spiritual practices during this period of having some regulated life pattern and also a serious spiritual sadhana. Maybe they make a sankalpa that I will do japa for 10,000 times a day or read these particular scriptures during this time. Try to move spiritually during this 4-month period. So this is a very important period, Chaturmasya. So Swamis from the traditional orders, they go and stay in different places, expound the scriptures, explain the scriptures, and also meet the devotees and help in spreading Vedanta and Dharma among the people. This is the significance of today, and then we have the Guru Puja coming on the 13th of this month. In a few days, we will be celebrating the teachers, spiritual teachers who have given us illumination, who have given us the spiritual path. So the best way to offer our obeisance to the Guru, the best way to offer our gratitude to the Guru, according to our senior Swamis, is by realizing God, by realizing the Ishtadevata, by being truthful to the sadhana that he has taught us. So let us take a pledge, or let us decide once again that we shall do the sadhana as instructed by our Guru and try to realize God in this very life by His grace, by the grace of the Lord. So this is the importance of today, the Ekadashi. And why is it that we have chosen Sri Ramakrishna as the ideal whom to follow? I mean, whom we are trying to follow. There are so many people who have led inspiring lives, who have been contributors to humanity, who are famous, but yet Sri Ramakrishna lived a life which is completely hidden from the modern day world. He lived in a temple and had practically nothing. He was a pauper, was not even educated, but still there were so many great people who came to listen to his simple words, the words of realization. He was rich in realization. He was not rich in the material sense, but his realizations were something which crossed boundaries, to trying to accommodate and trying to understand everybody. It was something remarkable. He was far ahead of his times. When people were only concerned about their religion, their path, their practice, being narrow and selfish in their spiritual pursuits, Sri Ramakrishna was one who broke barriers and proved through his realization that all paths lead to the same goal, that truth is one, which was declared so many times by the Upanishads but was not put into practice. You see, we have got so many wonderful realizations from the Upanishads. There are so many sages who have had great realizations, who have expounded the mantras in such beautiful ways. But it was Sri Ramakrishna who, through his realization, proved that God is true, that God can be seen, God can be realized, God can be touched, God can be felt, that God is one, irrespective of race, creed, or which nationality we belong to, irrespective of the color, whether somebody is white or black or brown, as we are called. Okay, so God is ours. God is our own. God is within us and without us. So it is our path to realize God within and also in the world outside. There is no difference between finding God within ourselves and outside. You see, Sri Ramakrishna proves through his life and through his teachings that if one advances spiritually in his own internal pursuits, it manifests even in the external world, that he becomes more accommodative, more understanding, more loving, and his relationships in the external world also improve. So it is correlating. It is according to the inner development, our relationship or our understanding of the external world also improves. So both go hand in hand. So this is what Swami Vivekananda also said. The ideal for the present age, as Swami Vivekananda says, is to realize this truth within and without, through all the four paths or a combination of all these paths, through karma, bhakti, gnana, or yoga, or a combination of these. So this is the ideal for this age, as Sri Ramakrishna demonstrates in his life and as expounded by Swami Vivekananda and the other direct disciples. So we have chosen Sri Ramakrishna, whom Swami Vivekananda called as Avatara Varishta, the best among the avatars. Why does Swami Vivekananda call him as Avatara Varishta? It is not that Rama was less, or Krishna was less, or Christ was less, or something like that. Sri Ramakrishna is the latest avatara, the avatara who has shown us the path which is most suitable for the present age. So that way, he is the greatest. Okay. So it's not that he is denouncing the other avatars. There is always development in the spiritual ideal also, an evolution in the spiritual ideal also, just as man evolves, just as the society changes due to the changing circumstances. God interprets the messenger, the avatara, interprets the spiritual path, which is the same traditional spiritual path, as best suited for the present age, that which is most suitable, easy to follow during the present age. So Sri Ramakrishna is the latest incarnation, the latest messenger, the latest prophet, the latest phenomenon, as Christopher Isherwood says, who has demonstrated the spiritual ideal for the present age. And then Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, if you see the 9th verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, he tells Arjuna, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, so what happens if one realizes God, if one follows God, if one tries to imbibe the spiritual aspects from the life of a messenger of God? So he who understands God, at least intellectually, if not through realization, he who understands the life and the message, the word of the avatar, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, that which is divine, that which is not because of the Maya, or that which is not because of the ignorance. You see, the Jiva is Maya Adhina. He takes birth because he is under the spell of Maya, because of his karmas, because of his desires, latent desires through the previous births. Whereas the avatar is Maya Adhisha. He is the Lord of Maya. He takes birth voluntarily. He decides to take birth in a particular place, in a particular family to propagate the best spiritual path. He comes with a mission in hand. As Sri Ramakrishna has said, he had already decided that he had to come. He chose his disciples, he chose his followers, he chose the place where he will be born. Sri Ramakrishna's parents, Khudiram and Chandramani, had vision before his birth. They knew that they are going to be the parents of a divine child. So the whole thing was decided by Sri Ramakrishna. He comes down voluntarily. He decides to take a birth in a particular place in order to help humanity move in the spiritual path. So Sri Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vekti tattvataha, at least intellectually, at least by conviction. If somebody is convinced about the divinity of my life and my actions, so what happens to him? Naiti mameti, naiti kyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, after giving up his body, once he passes away, he comes to me, he joins me, he is ever in my company, blessed company. This is what Sri Krishna assures in the Bhagavad Gita. So Sri Ramakrishna also says in the Gospel, in a beautiful way, in his rustic way, Sri Ramakrishna says, to see a group of musicians, a group of dramatists, yatra people came to a particular village. They stayed for some days, set up a tent, a camp, did various performances, then danced and acted, and people enjoyed their performances. They used to come and admire their performances, and then suddenly after they had finished their performances, after 2 or 3 days, they simply moved to another village. So nobody bothered to inquire, who are you people, from where do you come, what is your learning, what are the games that you play, what are the dramas that you play. There was no information, nobody bothered to collect the information about them. So they just moved on to another village, went on spreading this wonderful ideas to other people. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna says, the avatara comes and goes, he remains hidden. People don't realize his greatness when he is alive. Only later on, people start understanding, oh, what a great man we have missed. It was exactly what Sister Nivedita says about Swami Vivekananda in her reminiscences about Swami Vivekananda. She says there was a pool of water and it was night time and there was the beautiful reflection of the moon, the full moon in the waters. So the fishes in the pond thought they have a friend who has come to play with them, that small ball of light. They started jumping around it and going into it and out of it, and so started playing with it. So they enjoyed the company of the moon in their waters. And as the night passed away, as the day broke, the reflection of the moon disappeared. Only then the fishes realized that he never belonged to them. He is something from a realm much, much above. He came there down to their level only out of grace. So Sri Ramakrishna is like that. All these messengers of God, all these prophets are like that. They come down to our level to teach us how to move towards God. So God descends as the messenger, God descends as the avatar in order to uplift humanity, uplift mankind, uplift man towards the spiritual ideal. So Holy Mother Sharada Devi also says in one place, the avatar, the messenger of God, does not come to the world to eat rasagullas. He comes to leave behind certain spiritual ideal and path. So they just don't come and then stay for some time and enjoy. I don't know if there is any enjoyment in the world for a person like Sri Ramakrishna to come and take a human birth and go through suffering and all that. No, because we find people who are wealthy, who are doing well in this world, getting into frustration and depression and saying, oh, I'm tired of this world, there is nothing to achieve in this world, it is better that we pass away. So that is the attitude of the common people itself. So let alone of a person of that spiritual stature, God, who can come down to this world, take a human birth, live amidst us, go through all the trials, tribulations, and yet lead a spiritual ideal, demonstrate a spiritual ideal. What an immense contribution it is, if you can imagine the sacrifice that Sri Ramakrishna did for the sake of the humanity. 12 years of intense sadhana, the amount of sadhana that he has done, the number of practices that he did, what an intense sadhana and what concentration in the spiritual path. So it is something remarkable that Sri Ramakrishna came down to demonstrate. Swami Atmajnanandaji Maharaj went to Gaya when Sri Ramakrishna was alive during the Kashapur days. He just went to Gaya and Kashi and all those places to do sadhana. He was very serious about his sadhana. Kali Tapasvi he was called. And then after some time he came back to Sri Ramakrishna. And as soon as he came back, Sri Ramakrishna saw him and said, Kali, whatever is there this time is only here. You go around the entire world, you will not find anything anywhere. Truth is fully manifest only here, he says. So this is the perfect manifestation of truth for the present age. And so it is proper that we have chosen Sri Ramakrishna by the grace of God through our past punyas or merits. We have somehow come into the ambit of Sri Ramakrishna, Sharda Devi, Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda and the direct disciples. What a blessed fortune it is, you see. There are millions and millions of people who don't have any idea about this spiritual ideal, about these wonderful ideas of all religions being true, that humanity is one, and they are misled into so many other paths. So it is by the grace of God that we have come to Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Sharda Devi, and let us try to absorb Sri Ramakrishna's message, the life of Sri Ramakrishna as much as possible in our life. As chosen by you, the topic, learning is an unending process. There is no end to learning. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Javat Bachi, Tavat Shikhi. As long as I am alive, as long as I live, so long do I learn. So it is an unending process. We learn through various sources. We are constantly learning from our birth till the last. If we have an open mind, if we have a mind that is receptive, if we have a mind that is able to accept all the positive things from others, then our life becomes rich and richer. It is not by accumulating things that we become richer, it is by accumulating knowledge, accumulating experiences that we become richer. Our personality gets enriched. So people may find joy in accumulating things and displaying them in their house, but ultimately that which gives us true happiness, true joy, is how I have lived my life, how I have been helpful to humanity, how I have been able to contribute to the development of humanity in some particular way, at least in my own way. That gives immense satisfaction. It is not the amount of money or it is not the amount of contacts that I have developed. It is how much I have been able to contribute to my own personal life and to society at large, in whatever way possible. It need not be something significant. It need not be that I appear in the newspapers. Sri Ramakrishna never bothered about this. He was least bothered about publicity. But what an intense life, what a rich life he lived. So this must be the focus of our life, trying to absorb as much as possible. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say very beautifully, we must be like the honeybee, which goes on taking nectar from various flowers, choosing flowers, gets up early in the morning and then goes on taking nectar, works endlessly throughout the day, taking bits of nectar from various flowers, collecting it processing it and making it honey so that it can be shared with the others. It is not selfish. You see, it takes just a little bit from every flower. So it absorbs the best part of the flower, takes the positive from the flower, and shares it with others. This is the wonderful life, the honeybee. If you compare it with the general house fly, the insect which we want to put off or kill when we find it in our house, see what a wonderful life the honeybee leads. It is a blessing to humanity, whereas the housefly is a curse, spreads diseases. So Sri Ramakrishna says the housefly does not have discrimination. It sits on some sweet meat which has been kept, a sweet particle, or maybe even on honey, but then the next moment it goes and sits on some dirt. So it does not discriminate between the good and bad, whereas the honeybee never does it. It is always absorbing nectar, absorbing the best from every source. So we must enrich our life like the honeybee, try to absorb, try to take the best from everybody, irrespective of which religion that person belongs to, which caste that person belongs to. It is by absorbing that our lives become rich. So this is a very important aspect of life. Unless we absorb, unless we update ourselves, unless we try to improve ourselves, our life becomes stagnant. We start deteriorating. Our brain itself, as it is according to medical science, the brain has immense capacity to absorb and learn. So an intelligent person, a person who is accomplished, who is supposed to be accomplished in life, the medical science says that hardly 20% of the capacity of the brain is used by such a person, let alone us. I don't know how much we use. An intelligent person, a person who is accomplished, who probably a scientist, or somebody who has used his brain to the maximum possible extent, hardly uses 20% of the brain cells that God has provided, nature has provided. So how much more capacity our human brain has. So unless we update, unless we keep processing, unless we acquire knowledge, our brain cells start deteriorating, they start dying. That is one of the facts of aging process. So to keep ourselves interested in life, to keep ourselves young, to keep our brain active, it is important that we learn, that we go on updating ourselves. Whichever field you like, maybe art, maybe gardening, maybe music, maybe dancing, whichever field you like, learn more and more. Try to absorb more and more. Try to see more and more and observe people and absorb. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna demonstrates in his life. He never stopped at one particular point. He had realized God, he had the vision of Kali, but he said, no, this is not enough. I must move on to something else. All the paths that are prescribed by the Tantras. Then he had all the other paths that were prescribed by the Vaishnava tantras and the Hindu practices. And after all this, he said, I want to find out how Christians worship God. I want to find out how the Muslims worship their Allah. So this was the absorbing quality of Sri Ramakrishna, trying to find God through each path. The same experience. He had the same experience. He says, yes, it was not different. I had the same samadhi or the same experience of God through all these paths. So he proved, he demonstrated through his very life that religion is one. We call it by different names. God is one, we call it by different names. And we only identify ourselves with our particular path and say all the other paths are false, all the other paths are less. Mine is the best. This is the one-sidedness, this is the narrow-mindedness that we develop as spiritual seekers. Sri Ramakrishna never liked this. He said, if you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the very first few pages when Master Mahashaya comes to Sri Ramakrishna, the second visit to Sri Ramakrishna, to Dakshineshwar, so Sri Ramakrishna is trying to find out about Master Mahashaya. Then he asks us, which aspect of God do you like? Do you like the formless aspect? Do you like the aspect of God with form? So Master Mahashaya immediately gets a doubt. How is it possible that two contradictory things can be possible at the same time? How is it possible that somebody can believe in God without form when he believes that God is with form? How are these two contradictory things possible? How can milk, white milk be black or something like that? So then Sri Ramakrishna says, you see, it is good that you like God without form, but then never think that the other thing is not possible. God is infinite. There are infinite possibilities in God. So one-sidedness, the narrowness was something which was anathema to Sri Ramakrishna. He says, I like to play different tunes in the flute, not just one tune. I would like to play different ragas and raginis and enjoy playing the music. So this was the variety that Sri Ramakrishna allowed, but behind all the variety, Sri Ramakrishna had that wonderful attitude of seeing the one, unity. So this is something remarkable about Sri Ramakrishna. He loved variety, but he could see the binding factor, the unity behind all this variety. There was no confusion in his mind, whereas we get confused. We just have two options, we get confused, which to choose, what to do. Whereas Sri Ramakrishna had no confusion. There was a clear mind. It was such a pure and clear mind that everything was homogeneous. Everything mingled so beautifully. It created a beautiful harmony in his life, and this harmony he wanted to spread in the society. Harmony between people, harmony between ideologies, harmony between spiritual paths. What a wonderful life that Sri Ramakrishna led. So Swami Vivekananda also says, expansionist life, trying to absorb, trying to become richer in our experiences, in our intelligence, in our thinking, trying to expand ourselves, our understanding is life. So life is always a progress, it is not stagnation. Stagnation is death, Swami Vivekananda says. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say one must have a receptive attitude, an attitude of accepting things, as I said already. So there's a beautiful Zen story about this receptivity. A disciple came to Zen master, approached the Zen master to learn, but the master could make out that this disciple was already well versed in various things and had superior complex and ego, that he knew many things. He came to the teacher and his mind was already full of various ideas. He was not a receptive person. So the guru, the master, wanted to teach him that one has to be receptive. So he offered him tea. That's the tradition in Japan. So offering tea is a very sacred act. Taking tea is a learning process in Japan, according to the Zen Buddhists. So the master offered him tea, and then the disciple was very happy to have tea, and then the master gave him a cup and saucer and started pouring tea into the cup. He went on pouring, the tea started overflowing. The disciple was surprised. He said, "What are you doing? The tea is overflowing, it's spilling." He said, "Yes, this is how we must be receptive if we have to accept new ideas. If your cup is already full, if you think that I know everything, I don't have anything else to absorb in life, then that is death. That is the end of learning. So one has to be receptive. There must be space in our mind to accept new ideas, the space in our heart to accept new ideas." So this is what Sri Ramakrishna says. He gives another beautiful example. He says, if you need to plant a tree, you need to clear the soil, prepare the soil, make the soil ready, add manure, clear the weeds, remove the stones and everything, and then plant the seed or the seedling. And then once the plant takes firm roots, grows into a strong tree, big tree, then it becomes stable. It is very stable. You can even bind an elephant to it. So that is how our character or personality must be. Start absorbing everything from nature, from our surroundings, and develop firm, strong roots. We must be rooted in our personality. Swami Atmajnanandaji in the famous book Meditation and Spiritual Life. He puts it very beautifully. He says, what is meditation? He says, meditation is trying to find the center of gravity of our personality. Where do I stand? Am I within myself, or am I in somebody else, trying to be attached to somebody else, some material object? Most often we are in others, trying to find ourselves in others rather than ourselves. So Swami Atmajnanandaji says, trying to find the center of gravity, trying to be poised, trying to be balanced in our outlook, in our personality, that is the most important aspect of meditation. Meditation teaches us to identify ourselves, identify the center of our consciousness. Okay, so this is what Sri Ramakrishna used to emphasize, trying to be steady, trying to be firm within ourselves. He also gives the example of setting of curds. How do you make yogurt? So he says you heat the milk has to be set with curds, yogurt, and then allow it to set. You give it time, patiently wait for the milk to settle into curds. You cannot disturb it. The more you disturb, the milk does not set. So after some time, maybe after a day, after 12 hours or so, you have beautiful, tasty curds. So this is how the processing has to happen. The knowledge, the information that we collect from various sources, that comes to us from various sources, has to be churned, has to be made into beautiful butter, and that enriches our personality. So if the knowledge that we get from others, if the information that we get from others is left rioting in the brain, as Swami Vivekananda says, it spoils our personality. There is more confusion. If it can be set into beautiful curds through meditation and other spiritual practices, and then churned with patience, then it becomes beautiful butter. Our personality is enriched. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna tells about enriching our personality. So the greatest contribution of Sri Ramakrishna, as we have already mentioned, is about the importance of religious experience and the perception of God as somebody who is close to us, somebody within us, without us. So Sri Ramakrishna gives us this assurance that God is, God can be seen, God can be perceived. It is possible to experience God in our life. This is the greatest contribution of Sri Ramakrishna for the present age, when there was so much of doubt, there is so much of doubt about the existence of God, about the truth in religion, that there is so much of confusion about religious practices, religion itself, when people are overpowered by the materialistic and other attitudes that have come up. So Sri Ramakrishna is one person, like the pole star, showing us the way that God alone is true. God is the center of our life, that we need to realize God, we need to be related to God in order to have a true life or a richer experience in life. So he has brought back God to the center of our life. So it is like that beautiful example that Sri Ramakrishna gives. So we know, in the rural places, in the villages, they have a process of crushing the grains and making the flour. So they have these two stones where there's a peg to hold, and then the grains are put in the center, and the thing is moved around. So the grain gets crushed between the stones. So Sri Ramakrishna says, while all the grains get crushed, some grains which stay near the peg do not get crushed. So if you hold on to the Lord, if you hold on to God, and God is the center of your life, you don't get crushed in the churning of the world. So you stay safe. And then he gives the example, another example also of children who go around playing, holding a pillar and then going on, rotating around it in play. So as long as they are holding on to the pillar, they are safe. Their head does not reel. But once they leave the pillar, they start reading and then fall down, they lose balance. So as long as we hold on to the pole, the God in our life, our spiritual pursuits, so we are safe, we are good, and God protects us. So this is one important idea that Sri Ramakrishna gives. And then another important idea that Sri Ramakrishna gives us is to be unselfish, not to be selfish in our spiritual pursuits also. Okay, with regard to the material objects that we have, yes, we know that we need to share it with others, with the family, with the society, in order to have development all around. But Sri Ramakrishna says we must be unselfish even with regard to the spiritual idea, even with regard to our knowledge. He says sharing of knowledge makes us richer, enriches our life. He gives those beautiful examples, you see. He says three friends were passing by a field and they found a huge wall on one side of the field. There was a lot of noise coming, music and dance and other noise of joy coming from the other side of the wall. So these three friends were surprised what was happening on the other side. They wanted to know. One person climbed the wall and then saw that there was some wonderful joy coming out, music and dance and everything happening on the other side. There was so much of enjoyment there, and then he simply jumped the other side. He did not even bother to tell the other friends, the two other friends here, that there was something remarkable going on the other side. So then these other two joined. They wanted to see what was there. They were also eager. They climbed up. The second fellow said, "Oh," and then jumped on the other side. He also just exclaimed and jumped on the other side. The third fellow got up, saw that there was joy, that there was something wonderful on the other side, and then he looked out to the other people who were around and then said, "Oh, come here, come here. There is something remarkable on this side. You must all come, experience this." So this is what Sri Ramakrishna says is the best attitude. He says, share your knowledge. He gives the example of the person who enjoys the mango also. He says there are some people who just eat the whole mango by themselves without sharing it with others. There are some who cut it and give it to others, share it with others, and enjoy it with others. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna gives as the ideal for the present age. Try to share your knowledge, just as it is important to share your material wealth with society in order to see the harmonious growth of society. It is important to share knowledge. Yes, it may be that I am not all-knowing. It is not that I know everything that I can share, but you don't have to wait till you know everything. That is an unending process. You learn as long as you live. That is the ideal. So whatever you know, you start teaching to somebody who is younger than you, maybe to the children, maybe to others. This helps in the continuation of culture, extension of culture. You see, unless the mother teaches the child what is culture, what is the tradition, the child will get lost. So this is so important. You see, it is the responsibility of each one of us to share our knowledge, our culture, our tradition with the next generation, so that there is continuity of tradition in this humanity, in this world. So Sri Ramakrishna loved sharing of ideas and understanding other viewpoints. You see, he says, I don't like one-mindedness. So being narrow, he was against it, and goes on saying again and again. You see, anybody who says that this is only true or this alone is the path, he would say, no, I can't stand this one-sidedness. So this is another important idea that we see in Sri Ramakrishna. And then one more very important idea in Sri Ramakrishna, which I am very impressed by, is his attitude towards people, how he could see the possibilities in other people, how he could appreciate the least good in every people, in every person. So whether it was the highly capable Marain who came to him, or the simple Latu who was from a village, but Sri Ramakrishna encouraged everybody in their path. He never criticized anybody. See, whoever came to him, He always had good words to them. He always saw the possibility in them, tried to help them move forward in life, in their spiritual pursuit. So that is why among the direct disciples, you find so many types. There is the highly capable Naren and Rakhal, and then there is the ordinary Latu and Gopal, Advaitanandaji, all these people who came from the common run of the society. So Sri Ramakrishna shows how to be acceptable in our attitude. That universal acceptance in Sri Ramakrishna is something remarkable. And then the way in which he would instruct common people. You see, there's a beautiful incident which comes in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. There was a person who used to sweep the garden, who used to clean the path in Dakshineshwar, Rasiklal. So he was an ordinary man. Sri Ramakrishna, once when he was going towards the Panchavati in Dakshineshwar, this Rasiklal was there sweeping the garden. And then Sri Ramakrishna calls him and says, Roshi, you see, I have seen mother walking in these paths in this garden as a young girl. As a small girl, she walks around in this path. So when you clean these paths, when you sweep these paths, you must take great care. See that there are no stones or thorns on this path, because it will hurt the feet of mother. So what must have been the change in attitude in Rasik? He immediately started doing this work that he was doing every day with a spiritual attitude. Yes, mother walks on this path. Mother is there living in this temple. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna has seen. So this was the way in which Sri Ramakrishna could transform ordinary people into extraordinary karma yogis. The ordinary work of Rasiklal became a spiritual practice for Rasik. So this was something remarkable. And then there is the other incident of that lady, Brinde, who used to do work in the Dakshineshwar temple garden. She used to pick up the waste and other things which were left over by devotees who come to the Dakshineshwar temple garden, all the waste that used to be collected by Rasik. She used to carry it on her head and then go and throw it in a faraway place. Dispose of all the waste material, including the leftover food and their fecal matter, all these things, which are abhorrent to ordinary people. So one day Sri Ramakrishna was in the garden again, and this lady, Brinde, was carrying a full basket of all these dirty material which was smelling, probably, on her head, taking to dispose it off. And Sri Ramakrishna saw her from far, and any one of us, if we were there, we would have closed our nose immediately and saying, oh, why did I come this path? See, this lady is taking all this dirt material, there is so much of smell coming and all that. We would have tried to show off our higher status. But as Sri Ramakrishna, in all humility, goes down to her, Sashtanga, he does namaskars to her and says, oh mother, who else but you can do this work, such type of work in this form? He sees the Divine Mother in that simple lady, Brinde, and says, oh mother, it is you in this form doing this work. None but you can do this type of work. So he gives dignity to her work. He says, it is only you who can do this work first, and then sees the Divine Mother in that lady. So this is something remarkable. The vision of Sri Ramakrishna. Yes, we read in the scriptures that a man of realization sees the same undivided consciousness in everybody, but we have never seen of our rishis or heard about this in our rishis. Whereas Sri Ramakrishna demonstrates this, seeing that same consciousness, that Divine Mother, in a lady who cleans all the dirt in the temple garden. So this is Sri Ramakrishna's attitude, and the attitude of Sri Ramakrishna regarding sadhana, the sincerity, the nishtha that he had in trying to efface his ego, in being humble, in trying to remove the prejudice of caste and higher birth from his life. That was something remarkable. Sri Ramakrishna, I think nobody else has demonstrated this humility as Sri Ramakrishna has done. You see, he used to go to the house of this Rasikla, who used to stay just adjacent to Dakshineshwar garden. He used to go to his small dwelling, hutment, and then there he used to go in the night, dead of the night when they were all sleeping. He used to go as a sadhaka. He was a Brahmin. He was a spiritual person, who was a priest in the temple of Mother Kali, but still he goes to that person's house who was a sweeper in the temple and then cleans the bathroom and the other areas of that house with the hair of his head. He puts down his head to clean the bathroom and other places in Rasikla's house. And it's something unimaginable. We would not do it in our own bathrooms, let alone somebody else's bathroom. So this was the sincerity in Sri Ramakrishna's practice. What wonderful, it is something remarkable how Sri Ramakrishna could do such thing, something like this. You see, he had no gurus or somebody to instruct him to do so. It was all spontaneous in him. He was doing it all out of his own sincerity. There was nobody to monitor and tell him, no, you are doing this wrong, do this way, to give him instructions. It was from his own sincerity that he discovered all these paths, all these spiritual practices. So each one of them was born out of his own sincerity. That is the greatness of Sri Ramakrishna. It was only later on that the gurus started coming to him and then he started learning from them. But before the gurus came, as Swami Sharadaranji mentions in the Great Master, he had already realized the truth. He had already had visions of God. It was only to certify that these gurus came and the gurus got enriched in their life. They learned from Sri Ramakrishna. So this was the uniqueness in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Then another important aspect that we see in Sri Ramakrishna is his scientific temper. He was willing to accept criticism, ask, he would allow his disciples like Naren and Yogain to test him and then to question him. They would not accept everything that he said. But Sri Ramakrishna had nothing against them. He would encourage them to question. He would say, yes, you must question me. You must see me in the day, in the night, see if what I am saying is true. And only when you are convinced, you must accept what I say. This was the Catholicity of Sri Ramakrishna, the acceptability in Sri Ramakrishna's mind. You see, this is something remarkable in Sri Ramakrishna. And like this, if we go on, there is so much to learn from Sri Ramakrishna. It's unending. And there are so many facets to his life. I think I have highlighted only a few aspects, but I would suggest, I would like the people, the devotees who are viewing this program to read more and more about Sri Ramakrishna, at least one page per day, maybe the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna or the Great Master. Try to read the life of Sri Ramakrishna and absorb as much as possible from Sri Ramakrishna's wonderful life. I am sure your life will become enriched by this and you will be able to spread happiness and joy to other people in the society. That is more important. You must be happy and you must be able to give happiness to others, as Sri Ramakrishna said and as Swami Vivekananda gave the motto of the Ramakrishna Order. He said, Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitayacha, for one's own good, for one's own liberation, and at the same time for the welfare of the society. Both go hand in hand. So if you enrich your personality, you enrich the society. Society is a combination of all us, of all our people. So if the people are good, the society becomes good. So we don't have to blame the society. We say that society is bad, that is bad, this is bad. We are also responsible for the downfall in society. So let's take up this responsibility, that I am equally responsible. Let me help society become better. Let me help society become, I don't say that I am able to change the society. Let me not have the ego saying that I can change the society, I have something superior, I have something remarkable in me so that I can give something to society. But let me try to help the society move forward as much as possible. Let me help the process. So let me be something which is leavening the process. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna teaches us. So finally, To give just one more example, which Sri Ramakrishna says, if the water in the rivers is flowing continuously, the water is sweet, it is not stagnant, and it is fresh. As soon as the flow in the river stops, it starts stagnating and starts becoming bad. You can't drink it. So let the water in our river, let the ideas in our mind also keep flowing. Allow it to flow, absorb, enrich yourself, and let it flow to others. So this is the way in which Sri Ramakrishna has enriched humanity, enriched our life, enriched the spiritual path by demonstrating the truth in all religions, that all religions are one, God is one. So let us be blessed by thinking about Sri Ramakrishna. I am grateful to Swami Atmajnanandaji and Sri Nirmalji for giving me this wonderful opportunity to contemplate on Sri Ramakrishna in this wonderful early morning time. Yeah, it's afternoon, evening time for you and maybe for people in different parts. But in Rio, in Brazil, it is early morning time, Usha Kala. So it is such a wonderful, blessed moment to think about Sri Ramakrishna. I'm grateful to you all for participating in this, listening to me patiently. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Jai Shri Ramakrishna.
What a profound, insightful, inspiring, and wonderful lecture. We have so many takeaways. We have so many takeaways out of this lecture. Before we start the question and answer, just to recapitulate 4 or 5 main points out of the lecture, what Sri Ramakrishna taught us, and as Swamiji himself said, let us learn from Sri Ramakrishna. That is humility, crushing ego, and sincerity. These are the crux and some few important points. There should be space in our mind to accept new ideas. We should not be egoistic to think that we know a lot or we know everything. Then Sri Ramakrishna's message, profound message that God can be seen and can be realized. Then third one is that make God as the fulcrum, the child revolving around the pillar, and kind of if we have faith in the God, He will save us. So make the God as the fulcrum, and sharing of knowledge and dissemination. It is, I think, what a progressive idea in those days, and which is so relevant even today. And there should not be one-sidedness, joto mot toto pot, kind of as many faiths, as many ways. So another profound teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, and appreciating goodness of others. Again, a very profound and very relevant teaching in today's context when we are fighting and we are so divisive. And if we find goodness in others, I think many of the tensions will go away. And other very profound teaching, as Atmajnanandaji highlighted, is transforming the ordinary people. That is very, very important. Atmajnanandaji gave the example of Brinde and Rasik, the sweeper, and what a great example. And the other thing which is very progressive, we say scientific temper. So kind of have progressive ideas, and the flow of the river, we should constantly think and reflect so that we don't become stale and our ideas remain fresh. So another thing, we are so happy Ganeshanandaji Maharaj ji is here with us all the way from Berlin, and we say our pranam. He has been source of inspiration for all of us, Maharaj ji, and thank you.
Nirmalji, just to give you information, there is Ganeshanandaji from Germany, there is Suren from London,
Yes.
and there are so many from India, there is There are quite a few people from Mysore, from Chandigarh. I'm so happy to see all of them
Yes.
after such a long time.
Yes, all over the globe, and 51 people joined today's program, and some more are joining through the Facebook live streaming. So thank you very much. And if before we start the question and answer, if I can request our profound member and active member Arlene to say a few words for our Filipino brothers and sisters about the importance of today's lecture, and also if they have any ideas and thoughts and observation, they are most welcome to ask or mention through Facebook or Arlene. You can speak for a minute.
Nirmalji, one more thing. You did a beautiful summary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Because we have our local Filipino audience, so just to give them a flavor. Yes. So, Arlene, please, mic is yours.
Good evening, Maharaji. I'm very pleased to meet you by this Zoom. Thank you so very much. And with your permission, I would like to use our native tongue to invite our Filipino people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Magandang gabi po sa kapwa kong mga Pilipino na nakikinig ngayon at nanonood sa ating Facebook Live. Ang ating topic po ngayon ay napakaganda. At ito po ay nakakatulong sa atin para mamaunlad po natin ang ating pananampalataya sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Ang mga tinuturo po sa atin, ang ating po mga topic na tinuturo ay talaga pong makakadulutan natin ng araw. Maraming salamat po sa mga ating mga guest speaker, Swami Atmajnanandaji, Swami Atmajnanandaji. I'm so sorry if I pronounce it wrongly. Please forgive me. Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be, given a chance to talk and invite the Filipino people to, keep on joining our Zoom conferences. Thank you so very much. Magandang gabi po sa inyo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
So happy to.
Thank you so very much, Arlene. Arlene is the vice president of our society, and so thank you so much for your kind words. And now we can start the question and answer session. Stephen, if you are there, you can ask your question, or if you have any observations. Stephen C. Stephen, if you are not there, then we'll go over to Aparnadi. Aparnadi, do you have anything to ask? So, any other person who have any question or any observation, please welcome. Partho, if you have any question.
Nimal.
Hiranya, yes, please.
Yeah. Maharaj, Pranam Maharaj for this wonderful lecture. This is Hiranya from Manila. When I was listening to this lecture, Maharaj, I was thinking that later on, Swamiji reflected each and every teaching of Ramakrishna Dev Thakur in various ways. Today morning, for example, our Swami Udaranandaji sent me beautiful reminiscences of Virashanandaji, Kathamrita, and some quotations from Swami Vivekananda. Today morning, he sent me 2-3 lines from Swami Vivekananda's teaching. If I consider myself greater than the ant that crawls on the ground, I am ignorant.
Yes.
This is exactly you said today's in lecture. That is the theme of your lecture. Always like a flowing river and try to accept new ideas, new thoughts, new teachings. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. I'm so happy to listen to your lecture.
Thank you. Thank you.
Arlene, do you have anything to say? Please put on your mic. Please unmute yourself.
Your mic is muted.
Please unmute yourself. Arvind?
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I just want to thank you, Maharaji, for the wonderful lecture. Thank you so much. I was late when I tuned in. I joined a little bit late, but thank you so
That's
much.
okay.
It was very wonderful topic, Maharaj.
Better late
Thank you
than
so
never.
much.
Better late than never.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
far, I don't have any questions. I'm satisfied, Maharaj. Thank you.
Mrs.
Pranam,
Raja,
Swamiji.
Mrs. Raja, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Amita.
Amita Di, Amita Di, please. Amita
Yes,
Raja, Amita Raja.
yes, Maharaj, I'm on. Yes, Nirmala, I'm on. Thank you, Maharaj. It was really enlightening. And what I say is, I love hearing your lectures because you're full of anecdotes and some anecdotes very good.
We are not able to see you. We are seeing in between you and Surya.
Oh,
Yeah, that's better.
no, I love the way you bring in anecdotes in your talk, which keeps the talk really alive. And you give a nice new turn to the anecdote. Today, Rasik's sweeping the path
Yes.
is something new to me. I always learn something new from you. So I said, thank you, Maharaj. I
Thank
look
you.
forward to it. All right, Maharaj. Take care. Bharat Thakur.
Thank you.
Balasubramaniam ji, do you have anything to ask? Kasturi Di, Kasturi, do you want to ask anything?
Yes, Maharaj, this is Kasturi from Manila. Thank you for a very, very wonderful session today. It was a great learning opportunity as always. I have one question to ask you. As you were mentioning about the Zen story, that once the cup is full, there is no space for new learning. So when I look around, I find that there is a lot of dearth of humility in today's world. Some people think they know so much that there is. You cannot tell them anything else. You better keep your mouth shut rather than try to communicate. But that's about elders. But for a child, how do you inculcate humility in a child? That's my question.
You see, one important thing that we need to teach children is that knowledge is vast, it is infinite. The Upanishad says, Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma. Truth or the supreme power is truth, Satyam, Gnanam, knowledge. So, knowledge is Brahman. So, trying to understand knowledge in various ways, each aspect of knowledge can lead us to that same truth. They are all different facets of that same truth. Truth manifested in different ways as knowledge. Okay, so trying to learn about truth, trying to appreciate truth in every aspect of knowledge is something that is important if we have to enrich our personality. So there is no end to learning. This is something which comes from humility and of course trying to be in the company of people who are more knowledgeable than us. This acceptance comes when we see somebody who is more remarkable than us. So, oh, he knows so much, then I don't know much. So he has other ideas which I have never heard of. So this opens our mind to some extent. Yeah, it is possible to change through upbringing, but some people do have these closed minds. There is a beautiful saying in Sanskrit, which says it is better to keep silent than talk to people who are egoistic.
Sure.
Not to express yourself when you're not invited to speak. So, okay, that is learned silence. Okay, that is also good. But it is important to share knowledge as much as possible. and try to develop this aspect of humility. Let us not bother about what others do. Let us enrich our personality. And if there is somebody who is willing to learn, teach as much as possible. So there is one saying in English, if you don't know something, start teaching it. So by teaching others, you start thinking logically, you start expressing yourself, the ideas become clearer in your mind.
You
So
understand that what you don't know.
yes, exactly, exactly. You start thinking about things which probably you would not have thought. Or when somebody asks you questions, you start thinking about new things. So it is wonderful to teach. You see, I start thinking about Ramakrishna more and more when I start speaking about Ramakrishna. So it's a meditation actually. Speaking becomes a part of meditation.
Sure enough. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
It is indeed meditation. It is indeed meditation. Learning is meditation, and
Yes.
we get to know so many new things which we would not have known. So we have almost come to the end of the question and answer session. Uh, uh, Mohanji, if you want to ask anything or say anything, Mohanji has left. Okay, so we have come to the end of the question and answer session. So we have Dr. Ranjana Bhattacharya all the way from Delhi, Chittaranjan Park, Delhi, who will present a devotional song for all of us. Before also she had sung for us. So we are so grateful to her to agree to sing a devotional song for us to delve into Sri Ramakrishna's thoughts. Ranjana ji.
प्रणाम आत्मा ज्ञानानंद जी महाराज, प्रणाम वारिष्ठानंद जी महाराज, प्रणाम विश्वजीत महाराज, and namaskar to all of you. I will be singing this song which has been composed by Sebastian Temple, and it is for peace and harmony. It was sung after the World War. You may have heard it during Princess Diana's funeral. It is a song for peace, harmony, and serenity, and it is appropriate for all of us, whichever faith we may follow. So I will sing this song for you.
Excellent, excellent.
It is also in keeping with the lecture we heard today. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there's injury, your pardon, Lord. Where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there's injury, your pardon, Lord. Where there's no true faith in you. Oh, Master, grant that I may never see so much to keep consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, Lord, your light. Where there is sadness, ever joy. Make me a channel of your peace. This in pardoning that we are pardoned, in caring to me a channel of your grace. There is sacred, let me bring your love. Where there's injury or God alone, where there's no true faith in you. Bring me a channel of your grace. There is sacred, let me bring your love. Where there's injury or God alone, where there's no true faith in you. Bring me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there's injury or harm, where there's no true faith in you.
Wonderful. It was excellent.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ranjana Bhattacharya. So we have two Ranjanadis, and both are Ranjana Bhattacharya. So we have one Ranjanadi who has just sung this beautiful song, and we now request another Ranjanadi, Ranjana Bhattacharya, once again from Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh, to kindly present her song. So Ranjanadi, please present your song. Uh, uh, we are ready to listen to your song. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Ranjana Bhattacharya, for singing this beautiful song for us.
Joy Thakur, Joy Shanti. Puna Maharaj.
Namaskar, namaskar.
प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम। पाप कटे दुख मिटे लेके राम नाम। पाप कटे दुख मिटे लेके राम नाम। भव समुद्र सुखद नाव एक राम नाम। भव समुद्र सुखद नाव एक राम नाम। राम 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 श्री राम 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 राम। जय जय राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम। परम शांति सुख निदान नित्य राम नाम। परम शांति सुख निदान नित्य राम नाम। निराधार को आधार एक राम नाम। निराधार को आधार एक राम नाम। राम 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 श्री राम 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 राम। जय जय राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम। संत हृदय सनावसत दिव्य राम नाम। संत हृदय सनावसत एक राम नाम। परम गोप्य परम इष्ट मंत्र राम नाम। परम गोप्य परम इष्ट मंत्र राम नाम। राम 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 श्री राम 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 राम। जय जय राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम। महादेव सकल जपत दिव्य राम नाम। महादेव सकल जपत दिव्य राम नाम। काशी मरत मुक्त करत कहत राम नाम। काशी मरत मुक्त करत कहत राम नाम। राम 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 श्री राम 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 राम। जय जय राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम राम राम। राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम। मात पिता बंधु सखा सब ही राम नाम। मात पिता बंधु सखा सब ही राम नाम। भक्त जनन जीवन धना एक राम नाम। भक्त जनन जीवन धना एक राम से कहो राम 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 श्री राम 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 तेरी संगीत मन से कहो राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम.
Thank you very much, Ranjanadi, for the beautiful song. And as Swami Atmajnananandaji Maharaj ji was saying, today is a very, very important occasion in India, Ashari Ekadashi, and especially in Maharashtra, it is celebrated with great fanfare, with a lot of melas and in the temples, a lot of prayers. So special prayers are made. So what a coincidence, you invoke Sri Ram on this day of Ekadashi. And we also in our center at Manila, we had Ram Nam Sankirtanam today. And so very, very important day. And thank you, Ranjanadi. We are so grateful to all the participants to be here, and of course Maharaj ji early in the morning to be with us. Now I would request our Hiranya Mukhopadhyay to kindly say vote of thanks, and with that we'll come to the end of the program. Hiranya, please give your vote of thanks.
Maharaj Pranam, as I said, it was a wonderful lecture, and as Amita ji also said, the lecture was very lively because of these nice small stories. A good lecture is that lecture where the speaker could command the uninterrupted attention of the audience. Today's lecture was like that. So I was closed my eyes and listening each and every word from your lecture. Thank you, Maharaj, for this wonderful lecture. Thank you again from the bottom of our, on behalf of all the disciples from Manila, from London, from Germany, from Delhi. Thank you, and pranam.
There was somebody from Australia also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful. Thank you.
Pranam Maharaj for this wonderful lecture.
And thank you, Maharaji, for the wonderful lecture and all our participants from all over the world. And of course, Ramakrishna Maharaj, our source of inspiration, all the way from Germany. And now we will we'll end the program. I'll be the last person to leave. Please give me 30 seconds to end the program, end the recording. Please, I beg you.
Namaskara, Swamiji.
Yeah. Yes, if you want to say pranam to Maharaji one by one, you can say pranam to Maharaji in another one.
Pranam Maharaj Chandru. Pranam Maharaj Chandru. Pranam ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜೈ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಜೈ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ Maharaj.
Vanakkam Maharaj.
Namaskara, Swamiji. Vijaya Shankar.
Namaskara.
Now I'll end the program. So please, I would beg your silence for 30 seconds to end the program. I'll come back and I'll be the last person to leave. So let me first end the recording.
Swamiji, Namaskara.
Namaste.
So beg your silence for 30 seconds. नहीं करता